All right, guys, and welcome to episode 3 of the Midfield 4 podcast. Just before we get underway, just want to apologise for the slight delay on this week's episode. Just a few issues over the weekend, but we'll try not to make it happen again. So this should be going out on Tuesday, but hopefully we'll be back to Fridays from now on. But we'll get straight into it. So, Matt, good evening. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, football aside, I'm all right. Thank you. Yeah, all good. Taylor, how you doing, mate?
I'm all right, mate. I'm very good. Very happy to be back. Better late than never.
Yeah, very true. Demille, finally, how you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Apart from the obvious, but yeah, I've been alright.
We'll get straight onto that in a minute, unfortunately. But before we do, we'll start like we do every episode with our quiz, 5 questions. I believe our new format is going to be the winner of a week is essentially going to take a point. So I believe the leaderboard right now is me, Matt, Demille on 1, Tay 0 so far. But it's all right, we've got time to catch up. Matt is the question master today, so obviously he can't score this week, so he's going to be reading out the questions. So far away, give us your 5 questions.
So start off with Inter played AC Milan in the Coppa Italia on Tuesday. So what was the score? Who were the scorers? And who had a goal disallowed for AC Milan? So I'll give you a point for each one. I'll give you a point for getting the actual team who won the game. So that's quite a high point question. The second one is a game in 2020 involving PSG and Marseille ended with 5 red cards. So who was sent off? There was a big fight at the end, but pretty crazy stuff. A point per player. The next question is Frankfurt and in the semis of the Europa League, which they'll be playing West Ham later on in the week. But the last time they were in the semi-finals in this competition, who did they lose to and how did they lose? And then the next question is, who was the last player to be sent off in an Arsenal versus Man United fixture? And the final question is, when was the last time Everton took any points from Anfield, so Liverpool's ground, with a crowd? And if no one gets the year, then I'm not expecting a date because that'll be a bit nuts. But anyone gets the year, then fair enough. If not, then I'll go for closest.
Nice one. So they're the 5 questions for this week. As always, we'll reveal them answers at the end of the show and let us know how you got on down below. So hope you're enjoying that part of the show. I think it's a nice little addition. So yeah, we'll get straight into the main sort of show now. And we'll unfortunately start at the Emirates, probably, the standout game of the weekend. I mean, closely followed by Liverpool versus Everton, where Arsenal sort of unexpectedly beat a pretty pathetic United side. Even though we weren't at our worst, but that certainly does not mean we were good. So before me and Demille talk about that absolute mess, Matt, I'll come to you if you just want to talk about Arsenal. You were at the game, so obviously big 3 points for you. So before we talk about what mess United are in, just talk to you about Arsenal. And I mean, we spoke a few weeks ago about turning it around, and with those last 2 results, you certainly have. So what did you make of it?
As I said, with a few weeks ago, I think people are far too silly to jump on a top 4 race that is all of a sudden over. And I think the fact that United, before they played us, were only 3 points ahead of top 4 or away from us in 5th, I think it was, just speaks absolute volumes how you can't just say top 4 race is done for after a result or 2. We lost 3 on the bounce, and now we're 3 points clear, and they've still got to go to Anfield. But on the game itself, to be honest, we weren't too great. We have a thing of being very good until the first goal and then turning it down. We went right at United from the first second, which was good because they couldn't handle it early days, and defensively we were really, really, really bad. But it wasn't too great because after we went 1-0 up, I thought we were really slow. We took a while to progress, and my biggest issue is that transition ball was always on. Ronaldo would, hold the ball up a bit, and then you'd have Elanga always getting the better of Tavares. And to start with Smith Rowe and Saka, they were both, holding width. But as the game went on, we had to drop them deeper. So it was more of a overload in our favour to keep up with the one-on-ones, because one-on-ones just, for 2 players who, I don't know how you guys feel as a United fan, but as an Arsenal fan, utterly terrifying to watch on that game. It was tough in that regard. And to be honest, I got a bit more from United than I expected, if I'm entirely honest. They pressed us, which I've not really seen them do at all this season, even under Ragnick. They pressed us high. At times they were, very dangerous. I think the fact we went 2-0 up was the fact we took our chances and United didn't. They didn't get that penalty, but I guess that's more down to the rules than the refereeing, which we'll get onto later on as well. But yeah, I didn't think we were too great in general. And then second half, United had that 15, 20 minute period where they sustained on us, which was pretty surprising. We just didn't play too well. I mean, it's the second game in 4 days, but whatever way you look at it, beating Chelsea and then beating Man United is great, really. Even a very weakened state of United, and obviously beating United is always nice, really. But yeah, it was a tough game, really. 3-1 flatters us, really, but I think a draw probably would have been a fair result. I think we had enough chances to score more, but United had quite a few, like the Elanga chances I mentioned. Ronaldo, I thought was absolutely fantastic. Honestly, like one of the best players I've seen at Emirates this season, like in an individual performance. Obviously, Ronaldo's Ronaldo, but I feel like I not bought into, you know, per se his all-round game and stuff, but I was really impressed just how he held the ball up, how he linked up play, how he ran the channels, his positioning, his layoffs to his teammate. Pity United players weren't on the same wavelength because that performance deserved a lot more. And I'm very relieved that Bruno obviously took that penalty. And I thought I'd just give a few players a big shout out from the Arsenal side of things, and then you guys can give the United perspective. I thought Eddie Nketiah and Martin Odegaard were absolutely fantastic. Obviously Saka as well. I don't think Smith Rowe really got into the game, and Xhaka and Elneny as always. Well, Elneny recently, massive big ups to him. Really, really, really solid display. Sorry, really good engine. Comes into the team for the first time in 4 months. Last game, 2 games in 4 days. Really tidy stuff. I think first half he struggled a tiny bit, but so did we in general. Obviously, also when we brought on Holding, that was just a wrap, really. But with Nketiah, what I was really impressed with is, from an Arsenal perspective, we've really struggled having that goal scoring number 9, but not just goal scoring. What everyone would always go on with Lacazette is, sure, he's not giving you the goals, but he's giving you the all-round play. But that wasn't happening, and I think that's because of his fitness. But whatever reason you want to put it to, he just wasn't, and his all-round game was really, really dropping. It was really affecting us. And Nketiah comes in, he's running the channels brilliantly. He's getting his body in the way and buying free kicks in important parts of the game, which is massive. And just had a really, really tidy game, linking up play, doing the gritty side of things. And one thing as well, he learned from his mistake. He had that shot from Odegaard's brilliant flick straight at De Gea, but then a few minutes later he got that chance, albeit it was offside. Instead of lashing it straight away, he took a touch, sat De Gea, and then picked the corner. And on Odegaard, I'll just quickly say, just a fantastic player, really. So lucky to have him. I'm a massive, massive fan of him. Always have been. Such a bargain, really, to be honest. But his touches, the way he controls the game, we're so lucky to have him. Really.
I've got to double down with you there. Like these past few, obviously he's a very talented player, but these past few weeks he's hands down one of my favourite players in the world to watch is Martin Odegaard. And they've only just caught onto it, really. And if you don't watch Martin Odegaard, start watching him. Like, he plays football the right way. That's what I'll say.
Talent was always there, though. They just needed somebody to lead him and get the best out.
He's found his feet, and I don't know if what levels he ever will reach, but right now, just the way he plays football, like sublime, like so
such a deep block killer as well, which is so necessary.
Not the reverse passes, just they're so
phenomenal. Sure. Oh yeah, that flick, I'll say. And one final thing I'll say as well, our problems have been really weird because against United we were really poor defensively, which was a bit of a first for us. Like, we've had the odd few games. Watford, Chelsea was a bit. I mean, we weren't even bad defensively, but first half we looked very shaky in moments. But United, we genuinely looked really bad defensively, and I think that does come from our fullbacks. And Gabriel, I think Ronaldo, you could tell he went for Gabriel instead of White. Gabriel struggled to keep tabs with Ronaldo. Obviously, Ramsdale made a great save. And what I was just going to say as well was, I think one area which is interesting is we struggled to get to like zone A, which is like Saka or Smith Rowe, whereas before it would be easy to get to them, but creating those chances would be the tough part. But roles reversed a bit, but ultimately 3 points, great day out, great seeing Ronaldo as well, and yeah, you boys take away from the United perspective.
If I must. On the day, I actually didn't think we were too bad. I mean, we put in a pretty decent performance. Like we said, Ronaldo was exemplary, and he did sort of remind people how good he is, because people say he's got nothing to offer still. Just, I don't know what they're sort of thinking with that, but clearly showed that he has. I mean, other positives, none really, to be honest. Like, Tellez was basically playing against us. So was Bruno. defense with Varane was very, very shaky again. I mean, less said about the rest of the team, the better. But, we didn't play too badly. So I'm not really going to rip into them too much. But obviously, we haven't recorded since the Liverpool game as well. And that was an absolute sickener. Just what's really getting me at the minute is, again, I mean, I wasn't at the match, but I've heard again, only 2 players went over and clapped the fans at the end of the game. And it's something so little. But, it means a lot. These lads would have had to been up at silly o'clock to get from Manchester down to the game. And it's always the usual suspects. Always Sancho does it every single game. I think the 2 that I saw were Sancho and De Gea.
I saw them as well.
Yeah, obviously you were there. And apparently, I mean, Marcus Rashford just didn't even look at the fans and just walked straight down the tunnel. And I think, I'm not going to go too overboard on him because I know he's struggling, but I think his attitude at the moment just sums everything up. Like, he's supposed to be the kid that's come through the academy, the kid that's hungry. But he just seems to have got too big for his boots. And I think you could say that for a lot of the squad right now. And I mean, especially Bruno Fernandes, he needs a bit out of the team because he's a fantastic player and people who say he's not aligned to themselves. But, the way he's playing at the minute and the way he played on Saturday, it's quite embarrassing, really. And, a lot of people don't like the fact that he, throws his hands in the air, moans and stuff. I don't mind that as such because he's clearly a player that just, loses his emotions a bit off the pitch, which is fine. He's a human being, but I do feel like he is starting to get a bit too big for his boots. Like, as good as he has been for us, we're still yet to win a trophy under him. And his big game record isn't the best. And, his attitude at the minute is starting to get on my nerves a little bit. And, the whole squad is really. And the main thing is, what sums it up is not clapping the fans, even though they've been stinking up the pitch for the last couple of months. And, the fans are always there every week getting their backs and, no acknowledgement. I mean, Demille, obviously you go to matches as well, so you'll, understand this. Like, it's just not on. Like, the attitude at the minute, I don't even know where to start. Is there any players that are immune to this, just immune to this in general?
Yeah, I think I think the 2 people you mentioned who claps at the end, Sancho and De Gea, I think they're, especially Sancho, he's obviously he's a new guy coming to the club, and he's tried, he's given his all, he showed his support to the fans. He's never given up. He's never stropped around the pitch, complain, all of that. He gets on with it. De Gea, he shows that he cares on the pitch. He's demanding, he's shouting. He seems frustrated when we let a goal in. I see the defenders, when they let a goal in, they turn around and they think, oh, okay, back, the goal's back in the net. Well, let's go again, guys. De Gea actually looks like he gives he gives a damn. Ronaldo cares in a different way. Obviously, I don't think we've seen Ronaldo just go down the tunnel straight away, but I think that's just Ronaldo. He cares by putting in good performances.
He did it even in his first game back. He was one of the first down the tunnel. He does it all the time.
Exactly.
Like, it's just one of them. It's not, it'd be nice if he'd come over and, clap every game, but it's not like he just doesn't do it when he's not playing.
Isn't it for
he's more than on the right.
Yeah, I mean, it's recovery. I think it sort of is, but
because he wants to. I remember seeing he gets like an ice bath or something 5 minutes before the game end. 5 minutes. Before
it is something on those lines. But I'm seeing United fans all over the place, Twitter and everything, just trying to point fingers at certain people. But I just don't think that's the case. Like, the last couple of weeks have been, Maguire this, Maguire that. But Maguire's dropped and the defence is the exact same. Like, there's no point pointing fingers at players at this point. That's why I was just literally going to ask you. I don't even think I can name 5 players that are blameless at the club at the minute. I mean...
No. Because
you say Sancho, and I love Sancho's attitude, and I think he'd be a great player for us. But his performances this season have been underwhelming. There's no getting away from that on the whole. And I have no doubt that he's going to be a good player for us long term. But, this season alone... you can't say he is. I mean, Ronaldo certainly isn't blameless. Like, he does have his limitations, but, you can't fault his mentality and such. So, he's not the one. De Gea, I don't think he's quite there. He's done interviews and stuff. He refuses to acknowledge that he's got his limitations and whatever. And what happened in the reverse fixture with Arsenal still gets on my nerves now. With the whole standing on the back of the foot thing, and he just let on the floor and let them score.
Yeah.
Just get up and carry on. That sort of thing.
But listen, I think you can't say it's impossible to say anyone's blameless considering the position we are in. I just feel like there were certain others that have caused more blame than others. Does that make sense? There's actual people who may not have the best ability, but do care. I actually appreciate. I've learned to appreciate Scott McTominay and Fred a bit more now. Purely the fact because I'm seeing players that work their asses off, 90 minutes in, 90 minutes out. They care for the badge. You know, Scott McTominay, I really don't think he's that great of a player. I mean, I think he had something like 39 passes in the midfield, but he actually, you know, he cares. He's
Thing
not
is, that's the
someone
absolute bare minimum, right? If you're a
Yeah.
player and you're not having the best of time, the bare minimum is you put in 100% and you go and appreciate the fans at the end of the game. That's the bare minimum that you do, and those players are not doing that at the moment, and like
Yeah.
it's infuriating.
It is infuriating.
And what do you make of the Lingard leaks? I mean, I think there's two players at Man United. I think there's three players at United that can feel really hard done by their minutes this season. Henderson, Lingard, and Bailly. Those are the three players that I think have a right to feel hard done by. They're the only ones that do in the whole squad. But you don't go and leak information to the press. You know, that's disrespectful to the club that he's been at for the last 20 odd years. It's disrespectful to his teammates, the manager, and the fans. You know, he's going to leave in 4 matches anyway. I get he's frustrated. You know, you leave, and then if you want to do an interview and rat them all out, then fair play. But, you know, essentially, you know, he must have given Scholes a go-ahead to go and say that on TV. I mean, for anyone that hasn't seen, Scholes pretty much said on, you know, I think it was American TV that he'd had a chat with Lingard midweek and the dressing room's a disgrace, which it probably is, or definitely is. But, you know,
it was it not on BT?
No, but he wasn't on BT. It was something else, I'm sure. But
Is it not like the players almost want it to be like that when they're saying stuff like that? Like everyone knows that it's a toxic atmosphere.
It is a blame deflector a bit as well.
You don't do that though. You don't. It's disrespectful to everyone within the club.
You've got to remember as well, someone like Jesse Lingard, you're representing United. Like people look up to you and stuff. Like you can't be the one who's like leakers. I'm sure it stems from agent heavily as well, but it just doesn't ever make any sense to me.
But with these players, they actually don't care. Like they know they're gone, they're off.
Yeah.
Like they really.
I wouldn't give Lingard a single more minute this season.
It's really like just working at a normal job for them, and you know that 2 weeks later I'm going on holiday. It's literally that's the reality of what the situation is for these players. And you're right, Lingard, Bailly, and Henderson do deserve much more minutes this season. But like I say, like leaking to the press, and I can't lie, I'm pretty sure there's been rumours that Henderson's leaked to the press as well.
If that's the case, and that's also not on.
Like all of these players leaking to the press, I don't hear anything going on in other clubs about press leaks. Like every single day, every single week, there's a press leak. I don't understand.
I saw an article this morning that they think there's up to 5 players.
Outrageous.
Where you go forward with this, it's an absolute circus, and it winds me up. Look, all I want, I've said this on here before, all I want as a fan is a team to be proud of, you know. And that performance against Arsenal wasn't too bad, you know. Against Liverpool, I was furious because we were pathetic. But after that, I was a bit like, you know what? We're a terrible team. We actually did all right. We put a shift in. I can't be too angry. The season's got to end anyway, whatever. But, you know, it's absolutely infuriating. The bare minimum you should do is, you know, put your 100% in. And where you go from here, I mean, obviously Ten Hag's coming in. You know, ideally you want anyone who's got any problem or wants to leave or whatever, just off you go. Obviously, that's not...
You know what, as well? Like, I think it's so hard to talk about specific players because, all right, so let's say players who are down tooling right now, whatever that system or performance, they all of a sudden just stop performing. I'm not talking about someone like Maguire, who's clearly far more system fit, but I'm talking about someone who's, you know, when you say about leaks to the press and stuff, if they all of a sudden stop performing well for Ten Hag, like that always will leave you like a sour taste.
Well, yeah. Obviously, like a lot of people, there is a way back, but you know, if it comes out at the end of the season that Harry Maguire's been one of these people leaking out to the press, you know, I'm a big fan of his, you guys know that. But even if then he turns it around, that still is going to be in the back of people's minds. Like, I get people are fed up. It's been a horrendous season and we all want it to end. And like, you know, if somebody who's like Rashford, who, you know, is pretty much down tooling now, I think the way he's conducted himself at the minute is ridiculous. But I don't doubt that he will want to knuckle down and get going again under Ten Hag. But you
should
still
not be doing that now, though. Set
precedent. Yeah. Honestly,
lay foundations now.
They are pathetic. They are absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
Actually, like somebody like Rashford right now.
I think Rashford is. I'm sick with Rashford right now. Absolutely sick with him. You know, you're such a a well looked up.
He's supposed to be the spearhead of what Manchester United is about.
Yeah.
And
He's such a
walking
role
around the
model
pitch.
for everyone, for the whole nation, Rashford. The role model for the whole nation. You're looked up to this with such high regard. You're playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. This is your boyhood club. The club you support. Put in some effort. Show that you care. Show that you actually want to play for this club. Like,
also, the people
you
you're
come on-
surrounded with come off the back of you. Like, if you're influenced by bad people, like in any sense of life, but if you're influenced by bad people on a football pitch, like, you know, I don't know, poor attitude players, whatever, that can reflect on you. And
Mate, look at Anthony Elanga. Anthony Elanga is Rashford, but 5 years ago. That's exactly the same path. You know, broke into the first team, and look, he is one of the ones that you can say does put his effort in. But you know, Rashford, the spearhead of the club, and I don't want to just single him out right at all.
I'll say
he should set precedent massively.
Yeah, but he's walking around the pitch with his head down, and then he's trudging down the tunnel like, you know, he's thinking, you know, he's acting like he's banged in 30 goals this season. He's not. He's been terrible. Every time he's come on, he's been terrible, and he's not even trying at the minute. Like,
Ethan, he honestly thinks he's like the best player in the world right now. The way he's acting, you know, he thinks that being on the bench is the worst thing in the world. You know,
he's there on merit. That Liverpool performance was a disgrace.
Look at Diaz. Look at Jota. Look at the way they come on the bench and impact the game just like that.
That's hungry forwards.
That's how you get minutes. You earn minutes. You're not just guaranteed minutes. Sancho's been outperforming you. Elanga's been outperforming you. So how are you going to get in the team? By working harder than them and showing us that you care. Since he lost
his place, he hasn't been in one performance that you could say, I can't remember the last time I said I want Rashford to start.
He started against Everton, and I saw a few bright moments against him. I'm thinking, okay, it's looking a bit better. Like, he's showing a bit of something. But, you know, honestly, this whole season, and I know he was injured for the first part of the season, but since he's come back from injury, he's absolutely been horrible in terms of attitude and actual input on the team. And I think he's the epitome of what the club has been this season. I don't want to single him out, of course not. I love Rashford. I do like him as a player. He's one of my favourite players. But you've got to call a spade a spade.
I think what hurts the most is he's not going to be out the door in the summer, is he? You know, I believe he will stay here for a long, long time. And this patch right now is really frustrating me. It's really, really sour because, like, you know, Lingard is going to go in the summer. Pogba's going to go in the summer. Mata, you know, Cavani, these players don't care. They're off. It's whatever. But Rashford's not one of those. But anyway, we've ran it for long enough. Just to wrap up, like, you know, us as a fan base, we deserve better. The people who turn up week on week to support these boys deserve better. And I'm not going to act entitled and say we deserve to win Premier League, because that's not how it works. But we deserve to see effort. Any football supporter that pays their money, you know, even if you're a supporter watching at home, if you pay your money to watch your team play, you deserve to see effort. And we're not seeing that at the minute. And it's infuriating me, to be honest. And, you know, any player that doesn't fancy it for the rest of the season, just get them out of the team. Even if they're going to play next season, get them out of the team, teach them a lesson, give some of the young kids a go. I can't wait to watch the Youth Cup final. Like, I can't wait to see some fight from a United team. Seriously, like,
that's completely spot on. I don't even know what you can add to that. Like, say,
I'm not asking for us to win the treble under Eric Ten Hag next season. Yeah. Like, I just want to see effort,
though, right? Like, the whole thing with United though is looking forward for them. I was speaking to a United fan after the game about this. Obviously, all this is really sour stuff, but obviously, get rid of the bad eggs, get rid of the players who aren't good enough. Let Ten Hag get rid of players like your De Gea's, your Wan-Bissakas, etc. Who, okay, sure, they cost a lot of money, or sure, they're on heavy amounts of money, but let him have control, like similar to like Arteta, for example, with Aubameyang and stuff. And I don't know if your fan base will do this, because your fan base can be quite erratic in that sense. But you've got to just firm whatever happens next season, so long as you're, you know, seeing small progress. Obviously, let Ten Hag sign who he wants to sign. But don't overthink, you know, how the season goes next year. Obviously, take positives where you see them, but don't, you know, jump to stuff, because you're at a point now where, okay, maybe your squad's still really good and you've just got a bunch of players down tooling, whatever reason that may be. But ultimately, most of these players in the current squad, they shouldn't be near a Man United 11. Like, I couldn't really name you.
Playing anyway.
The one thing I will say is that. Sorry, the one thing I will say is that it's very alarming how, you know, this time last year, everything was looking decent. You know, we were in a final of the Europa League. we had a team that had spirit, had fight. Look at the amount of comebacks we had. Obviously, COVID time, so you got to add that tax to it. But we had a team that we actually enjoyed watching, and they're the same players. Apart from Sancho, Ronaldo, Varane coming in, you still had Rashford, you still had Bruno, De Gea was there, or Henderson, but you still got Wan-Bissaka. Shaw was there, Maguire,
Cavani, who just decided he couldn't be bothered this season.
Cavani, and now this season he's on annual leave.
Yeah, annual leave the whole year.
30 days off.
We might as well be paying him.
My point is that how can it go from that to that? And
I think it's just they've got too big for their boots. All those players that you just mentioned, like the four that were so good last season, Shaw, Maguire, Bruno, Rashford, they're all good players, but they just got too big for their boots. Like, being out of form is fine, but you need to knuckle down and improve.
I think that's harsh on Shaw, to be fair.
Shaw's not been good this year, though. Like, he's not been as bad as some of the others.
I don't think he's been amazing, but I think that's more down to, like, he can go through inconsistent periods. Some players start slow and stuff, like Sancho, for example, is a notorious slow starter in his first season. But someone like Shaw, I wouldn't jump too much with him. Obviously, injuries and stuff. I think the fact his backup is Tellez, like, that doesn't help you much at all.
Yeah, but that's not good enough though. Just lastly on this United thing, if this thing's really bugging me. I cannot stand Man United. I cannot stand them. Like, everyone knows that. But you watch them and you watch absolutely, bar about, like I said, 2 or 3 players, absolutely spineless performances, no effort. And the thing that bugs me the most is you have a new manager coming in, you have a new project, you have a new manager coming in, you've got a new director, you've got this, you've got this.
How is that not enough to get these? No, yeah, exactly.
Why are players waiting until the first game of the season or pre-season for the new manager to come in? They try. Why are they not putting in the effort to show these?
Quick question.
And Rangnick is going to providing, who's been doing what under him.
I need to listen to this phone call or letter or whatever he's going to hand on to Ten Hag. I want to get hold of it.
He's doing his homework, isn't he, Ten Hag? It's like, it's like the way you watch these players. It's like, oh, he's not watching. It's fine. I won't try today, but I'll try when.
I heard something today about Rashford thinking, he knows he's not under his plans for Rangnick, but he's willing to he wants to find clarity on his role with Erik Ten Hag. I'm thinking, mate, clarity on your role. You're on the bench, fella. What? Awesome. How about have some performances now, and then you can work for Erik Ten Hag? Because I don't want you to work for Erik Ten Hag.
Be careful reading anything you see media-wise, because obviously it's toxic United, but they take full advantage of that. I remember when Ole was leaving or linked, when Ten Hag even joined, you got stuff coming, Rangnick, like United, Arsenal, all these sort of clubs, right? Like, I remember as well with us, all the leaks and stuff, so I can relate to this as well. But just don't, honestly listen to 1% of what you see in the media, because they use it as an opportunity to target players or target clubs and make the most out of bad situations.
I mean, we'll just have to see where he comes in. I mean, it can't come soon enough, to be honest. I'm absolutely sick and tired of this season, but I'll still be there on Thursday, unfortunately. But, that's what being a supporter is. We don't give up on the team as much as they give up on us. But anyway, we'll move on and onto an equally frustrating topic, the standard of refereeing in this league. This weekend has been as bad as I've seen in a long while. I mean, I don't know even how to go about this. I guess I'll just reel them off. 2 in the United-Arsenal game straight away. The penalty, which apparently is to do with the handball rule. If that's the case, that needs to be sorted, because that has to be a penalty. I assume we're all in agreement with that.
Yeah, definitely.
The Cedric handball.
The rule is ridiculous, but you have to be consistent with the ridiculous rule.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
Like, I saw it at the time and I was thinking, hang on, that looks like a penalty. And they didn't show the replay for a while.
Everyone knew
something else happened. And then I saw it and I was literally in absolute shock. So I went onto Twitter and then I was made aware that, it's a handball rule that doesn't allow it to go ahead, whatever. But the handball rule is...
I think that, in terms of complaining about reffing, I think that's not one to put in that category, just because that's... If you've complained about that, it's just the rules' fault for not being modernised or too robotic. And
But then that's been the problem for so long. How many times have I said to you boys, it's a rule issue, not a refereeing issue? Yeah. But what is a refereeing issue is Bruno definitely should have been off as well, for sure. And I probably would have done us a favour, to be honest.
I don't, you know what infuriates me more, right? I see Dermot Gallagher or whatever, the ex-referee. He said, oh yeah, I would have sent him off. You've got a screen. you've got a referee, you've got a VAR team who are actively looking at everything. You spend about 3 minutes as it is, which is infuriating enough as a supporter or someone in grounds or at home, particularly in grounds, because you see a screen saying potential offside or potential red card. You don't have a single clue what that's checking. And probably my most infuriating moment was like Leicester Arsenal when a penalty like took 4 minutes. It was so blatant. But like on that United Arsenal, like you're seeing checking potential offside. The longer it goes on, you're like, okay, well, this is not going to get given. But then you come home and you're like, that didn't need like 3 minutes. And then decisions which, like the Bruno one, which just seems so clear cut to me. And for one, refs just don't go to the monitor unless it's definitive. And for two, like, I don't understand how they can say after the game, because like before VAR, I understand that point. The ref doesn't see something, human error, it happens. But the whole point of technology, VAR in particular, is to get rid of human error, to allow the room for human error, to allow people to be watching back on these incidents and be like, right, that's a red card, or right, that's a big decision. Let the ref go to the monitor and decide for himself.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
I think it should be designed in a way that fairly quickly the ref should go to the monitor anyway. It gets to a point where the VAR is watching it, takes about 3 minutes to make a decision, and then says to the ref, you should look at this. At that point, the ref's gonna just award it anyway. So the ref should actually use his own, knowledge or eyes.
Quickly on that,
and actually just do it for himself again.
I completely agree with you. I think I saw somewhere, this was a few months ago, but like I think it's like 90% or 90+% of the time the referee goes to the monitor after a wait, it is given.
I reckon it's like 99%.
Yeah, it is.
I think it's 99. Yeah,
it's like ridiculous. They should be there. But then, are you guys on this quickly? You guys go to more games than me, so maybe I'm wrong here. But sometimes I don't understand how they take so long to come up with the decision, but I would rather they take longer and come up with the right decision if it was the right decision every time.
But like,
I would rather a 3-minute delay in the game be played correctly.
It's a case of though, right? I'd understand if that's 20 seconds instead of 1 minute instead of 20 seconds, but you don't need 3 minutes to work out a very clear-cut offside.
I'll tell you what, I think the stuff that they stop the game and review, they get right most of the time, but then they'll just miss stuff. Like, did they check the Bruno foul and not give it?
I don't think
they did. They did check it at the time.
Maybe.
Oh, I didn't know them.
It does feel like most of the time they do a review, they do find the right decision, but there are just some things that they
didn't check. They didn't check any of the Mane ones in the derby.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get onto that now. That's probably a decent segue. I mean, that was, again, there's not really, I would ask you to sum it up, but I don't really think there's much to say. I mean, Liverpool were just too good for Everton on the whole. But there were a few decisions in there. The Gordon penalty is the most controversial one. I think people were clutching at straws a little bit with that. I feel like, as much as I hate Liverpool, I feel like people are sort of looking for a reason to be like, oh, they don't deserve to be this good. I think it would have been harsh, but I've definitely seen them given.
Yeah,
I've seen them given as well.
I don't think it's penalty.
I think it's a weird one because obviously reputation plays into it. But one other point I want to make with reputation, we can't talk about the boy who cried wolf with Gordon because they have VAR to watch it back, so it doesn't make any difference on his reputation because you see if it's a pen or not on the screen. Whereas the ref
diving in the VAR error, like that's crazy to me.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah, it happens. You know what though? You don't get penalised for diving. Gordon, I think he got booked first half for it.
I don't think it's a dive though.
No.
I don't think there's enough. It's one of those where it's not a penalty, but there's not enough contact for him to. There's enough contact for him to, if he wants to go down. But I know this.
I know what you mean, Matt. There's been like instances where like players will dive just like outside the box or inside the box, and then I'm sure the rule is like you have to give a yellow if you get a dive, and I've never seen that in like 2 years.
More infuriating.
I've never seen it in like 2 years.
Let's say your player gets sent off for a second yellow for a dive, right? Hypothetically, sure, it sounds fair, but you give 90% of the time no yellows for diving, and then you change it all of a sudden just to give a yellow. You feel a bit hard done by,
It's just the consistency of refereeing, though, isn't it? Like they're just so inconsistent with absolutely everything. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you said the Mane ones. Again, do you not think it would have been a bit harsh?
Yeah, but he did it twice.
No.
So
yeah, but you can't give a bit. Did he get a yellow? He must have got a yellow in the game.
Yeah. No.
No, he didn't get yellow.
He didn't get booked. No,
Right.
no, he did. Sorry, yeah, he did for the Alan one.
yeah.
He did
But
for the
you
Alan
cannot.
one,
The problem is, right, and for certain things, obviously, you can't give a yellow card for VAR. And to be fair, that's probably for the best because
yeah, of course. Unless it's
the same with you can't give free kicks, you can't goal kicks, corners, throw-ins, etc., etc. So it's literally just goals and sending offs. I'm pretty sure, and penalties.
Second yellow should be added to that. I feel like.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah. But then I'd argue there were only 2 wrong decisions in that game from the referee, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I thought Mane was lucky, to be honest. I mean, it probably wasn't worth checking VAR for, but he was lucky because there was no need to do it. And I think the Richarlison one and Henderson was milked definitely, but absolutely no need. Like absolutely no need. And I think the penalty shots were completely fair. Like maybe people think I'm being biased there, but I think he's looked for it, and I don't think it's a dive. But I
think you've got 2 red cards clear as day for me, and then you've got a penalty which I'd maybe say 60-40 in Everton's favour, to be honest.
I understand it. I just don't understand the uproar about it. Like,
but it's just because people are trying to find a reason to hate on Liverpool.
Liverpool bad.
People are just wasting their energy, to be honest. Like, even if that goal goes in, even if Everton take the lead, Liverpool would have still won. Like, honestly, I generally think they would have done. Everton are just.
Can I just ask a question as well, right, real quick? So you say this is one of the worst reffing weekends in a long while. I remember first few weeks of the season, I'm thinking this is brilliant. First few months, I'm thinking this is brilliant.
It's always the first few weeks that seems to go right, and then after that, it just falls off.
That's what I was going to ask, because I'm a believer of not just it's just a reffing decision or whatever, leaning in that field. But what do you think it is aside from like corruption or whatever? What do you actually think it is? Because it just seems inexcusable because it's not even inconsistency. Because first few months it's all calm, and then it's like they want drama and just start giving dubious calls again.
I think there's a few issues. I think that the officials in general aren't up to scratch for me. I think second of all, I don't really think they even know what they're supposed to give and not to give. And I also think as soon as, say, a dodgy decision goes that way, so say a similar incident to the Anthony Gordon one happens next week, the referee probably will give it because of the overreaction. Yeah. I feel like reactions to certain scenarios will affect it. So say like, next, studs up on the ankle challenge and the Prem's probably getting a red just because Bruno and Richarlison didn't. They're trying to rectify their decision, but then they're just contradicting themselves. So it's just an absolute mess, to be honest.
I think they're just playing like Ethan said. Like I think they're just playing catch up, basically playing table tennis with decisions every week, and it's just been going on for years. Rectifying the decision, and then they'll get it wrong. Then they won't. Then they will because they didn't last week, and it just goes on and on and on. And
you know what though?
No one's got bottle. No referees don't have bottle either. Like they have no bottle at all. Last referee with bottle Mike Dean. Bring him back.
Oh yeah, and you know what though as well though. Like while I understand that completely, there's been so many calls this season where you're like, what? Like how can you possibly give that as a pen or a red? Like off the top of my head, João Moutinho's against Wolves, Rodri's against Everton, that Newcastle pen, when MacArthur booted Saka.
Can we talk about Craig Dawson? Because I have no idea how he got sent off for that. He wasn't even last man on the replay against Chelsea this week.
Yeah, he was. He was gonna. Lukaku was about to shoot.
I think Lukaku would have got to it.
It was so soft though. He's pulled on his arm. I think Cresswell's come over and covered him, so he wasn't last man. It was a goal.
Again, I think that one's more of like a rule. Like he was. If Craig Dawson isn't there, Lukaku gets his shot off.
I think the rule stands if you challenge for the ball and you give away a foul, you just get a yellow. If you don't challenge for the ball, so it was sort of if you gave the pen, you had to send him off.
Yeah, fair enough. I actually thought the contact started outside the box as well. That's another rule that is so inconsistent. That
I thought it should have been a red
outside the box. He fell into the box, gave a penalty. It happens way too much.
Yeah, red and a free kick could have been potential. Yeah. Anyway, if we talk about every single refereeing decision, we are literally going to be here all evening. So. But hopefully, I don't like talking about refereeing and VAR, but it's just something we had to touch on after that. And they didn't get everything wrong. I think the Arsenal penalty was fair as well. I mean, our penalty was also fair, so I suppose they didn't get absolutely everything wrong.
What about the offside decision?
I thought it was spot on.
Which
I
one?
I think with offsides, they kind of have even
Xhaka's goal.
Oh yeah.
I think Lindelof
I
for
thought that's
one was
offside, I
ahead of
can't lie.
him, and for two was like it's one of those ones as well where for one I think Lindelof's ahead of him. So if anything, his own teammate as well, and he's on playing him on. It's like
No,
disruptive.
I'm talking about where is it Nketiah? It's in the way of De Gea.
Yeah,
because
Lindelof
he
was
didn't
as well.
he didn't interfere with the play, did he?
Well.
That's why that is.
Yeah.
Again, if
Was
you want
Nketiah not
to,
offside?
Was as well though.
he was, but he wasn't interfering with the play. Again, that's something you have to.
That's
argue
another
for.
rule. Like one week will go
Wasn't he?
one way, 1 week will go the other way.
Well, he wasn't interfering with the play. He
Yeah.
didn't try and play
Because-
the ball. So
Okay.
that's it. Again, it's something you've got to argue with the rules. So I mean, a rule rethink would help anyway. But yeah, we will move on from that. I can't be bothered to talk about the referee anymore. I just like watching football. I don't want to talk about how it's not being officiated properly, but hopefully we haven't got to come back to it in a while. But the last major thing we're going to talk about before we reveal the quiz answers are, this is an idea, to be fair, I came up with earlier, just something that I was debating with somebody and it, sprung to mind a little bit. So we are going to make a Premier League best 11, but excluding the top two. And then at the end, we're going to sort of say if that team could compete with either Liverpool or Manchester City. So we are essentially just going to, Premier League 11, based on everything, not just current form / this season, everything combined. Premier League 11 without top two. So we'll start in goal. For me, this is quite easy. Mendy for me, fairly comfortably. I think Ramsdale has a shout, but I'd definitely say Mendy.
Matt's burning.
No, I don't think Ramsdale in that. No, I don't think so at this moment.
No, I'm with you, Finn.
Yeah, I put Mendy.
I think
yeah,
right back we can
Mendy's
probably
fair enough.
skim quite over quickly as well. Reece James.
Yeah, it is Reece
definitely.
James.
Yeah. It's not going to be all Chelsea.
Mine would be, but
Left backs.
Alonso.
With a little bit. A couple of
I
names.
put Shaw.
Shaw, Digne.
I was torn between Chilwell, Tierney, and
It's definitely Chilwell for me.
You reckon?
I don't mind that.
Taking injuries
I
out
think-
of the equation, it's Chilwell for
I
me.
think availability has to be factored, but all three are injury prone. So
I've never seen it. I've never seen a
I
performance
just
from a
went
left back.
for Shaw purely because he gets over Chilwell in England.
I feel like,
Would
Shaw
you
last
take
season.
Walker over Trent?
No, true.
But Shaw's club performances have been better than Chilwell's for the last 18 months.
Did you see Chilwell's Champions League final performance? I've never
Yeah,
seen,
no,
I've never
fair
seen a
enough.
performance like it from left
But
back.
then you could say Shaw's Euro final performance was very good.
But I'm happy.
I don't think it. I
I'm
don't think
happy
it's
to go
much
either
in
way.
it.
I'm
I
happy
don't
to
think
go
I think any of those three
I
is
just
fair,
think
and not
would you not-
currently,
would you
not
not
like
argue-
overall, but I think Tyrick Mitchell has been unbelievable. I thought just give him a shout.
Yeah, I
not
don't
that
mind
he's
that.
getting in over those two
Would-
right now.
Would you not argue that Chilwell is vitally more important to Chelsea than Luke Shaw is to Manchester
Yeah,
United?
but, Manchester United don't.
No.
That's
No.
fine.
No.
That's
If,
fine.
I think
if,
Luke
if,
Shaw, for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Manchester United, I think Luke Shaw was equally as important.
Okay, that's fine.
When
plus,
we actually
tell us is a backup, so
Yeah, fair point.
Tell us versus.
I mean, there are plenty of. I mean,
Oh my-
I want to throw Cucurella's name in there. I think he's fantastic, but
I
more
was
of a wing
thinking,
back.
yeah.
But there's plenty of great left backs in the league. But I mean, we're
Johnny's pretty good as well. Actually.
I like
Johnny,
Johnny,
yeah, for sure. We're reluctantly go Shaw there. Centre backs, there is again quite a few options. I think you've got to put a Chelsea defender in there. I'd probably go Silva, but I'm sure a few people would say Rudiger. But either is,
I put both. I can't lie. I put both.
Yeah, probably put them both in there.
yeah.
Unless
Okay.
anyone else objects.
I mean, it goes
Right,
also back to
I'd like to put a Ben White in there, but I don't think he right now is better than.
not to be a
yeah.
hater or anything either, like here, but like obviously three back is very valid. If we're talking about like a full back formation, that has to be factored as well. Unless if we're just talking about like on paper, because obviously
They
they're
have a
like
better play, so
defenders, but if they play in a 4, like Silva in a 4 right now, he doesn't have that like if he plays in a 4, he doesn't have that protection, and Rudiger's so aggressive that I don't think he'll like him going to Real Madrid, which we're not going to speak about, I don't think, but I don't think he'll be near as effective as Chelsea in a 5.
No,
You don't have that.
I don't want to judge this team off my assumptions anyway though. Like for the past year, he's been one of the best on the centre backs on the planet, and that's enough for me.
Obviously,
That's
there
fair
is
enough,
lots of other names, like both the Arsenal boys definitely have a shout. Varane when he's not being a bozo. You got even the likes of like Max Kilman, who's been fantastic this season.
Salisu as well.
Shout.
I
Yeah,
mean,
Fofana, Romero.
I don't want Romero.
Yeah,
I don't
Romero,
want like
yeah.
too like top 6 orientated. Like there are other good centre backs in the Premier League. We are aware. But yeah, I mean when
Wesley
Silva's really
Fofana
good
as well.
levels. Fofana, yeah, for sure. when Rudiger and Silva play at the levels that they can, you could argue they certainly
Maguire.
deserve the spot. Maguire of last season, yeah. Maguire right now,
Yeah.
no.
I would just stick both the Chelsea boys.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, it's very Chelsea.
You've got a Chelsea back five.
Other than Shaw, you'd have a Chelsea back
Luke
five.
Shaw, of course. Sorry.
All right.
As I say, it all just goes down to 5 or 4. But yeah,
we go 4-3-3.
It's got to be Declan Rice, isn't it?
Yeah, Declan Rice.
Yeah, definitely.
I would have Pogba, even though he's poor at the minute. I think
What
Pogba.
about Pogba?
Oh my God, Ethan, let's go.
As much as I am quite fed up of him as well, for me, he's got to be in.
He has to be.
So you take him over Kovacic.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's bizarre.
I'd
How was that
put
bizarre?
That's bizarre.
I'd put
That's
How
bizarre.
was that bizarre?
So you taking him over like the lot?
I'm taking over everyone, mate.
I'm taking him over everyone in. Yeah,
I'm not taking him over last season's John McGinn, if I'm being honest.
You're so ill.
Deadly serious.
You're so ill.
He's got a straight face.
Honestly, I'll take Kovacic, arguably Kante, even though I'm not his biggest fan.
You're not taking.
Jorginho finished third in the Ballon d'Or to finish below Paul Pogba. Like,
Yes,
I'm
and
sorry.
Why? That's such a bad argument because Jorginho should have never been in the top 3 of the Ballon d'Or.
Pogba shouldn't be in this 11.
Fair enough.
If you
Fair
have a consensus vote of Pogba, that's fine. I'm willing to ignore.
There's no shift in your views. But I
Okay,
think
Matt, what do you think?
I'm gonna give the old on his day that he's been, for the last 6 odd years. But yeah, I know, but he's not been woeful for United. He's not been great, but like he's been good.
Loftus-Cheek was pretty good against Palace. Is that an on his day thing?
Come on, man.
I went for
Christian Norgard.
Stop it, man.
Nah,
Anyone.
Christian,
yeah,
all right.
really, really good player.
You're not taking Xhaka over him.
I am taking Xhaka.
Look, Pogba in England has been better than Kovacic in England.
Right? Every single time Granit Xhaka plays Pogba or Kante, you know what happens, and there's a reason for that. But my midfield too is I've gone for Partey and Kovacic, but I forgot about
Pogba as well.
I forgot about Pogba, to be honest. So I think I'd take him over Kovacic. I love Pogba. I think as an 8. The thing is,
you should not be getting a sniff. We're just forgetting players
You know
like Suma as well. Like it's just
man. Yeah, these players are good, but like, come on, this is Paul Pogba.
You know what?
Take him over Odegaard.
Odegaard, I was about to mention.
Yeah, he's right in there. Yeah, he's right.
I'd probably have him with Pogba and Rice.
Yeah.
I think Partey's
We actually have the same team.
there as well. Like,
Give me Ashley Westwood, man.
I have
Oh,
Partey. I'd probably say Rice, Partey, Pogba. To be fair.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Go on and Tay. Throw us some serious names. Like, look, Yves Bissouma, fair enough, good player.
My name's not serious. Martin Odegaard, Kovacic, Kante.
They're serious names. All right, fair enough.
Like
But I had. Okay, if we're talking about like specifics, I had like Pogba in the 8, and then Odegaard just in front, and then obviously Rice holding.
Do you want a fun
Odegaard.
fact real quick about Pogba and Odegaard? Or you probably saw it.
Oh, I saw it. I
Brilliant.
saw it. Odegaard thinks Pogba was his toughest opponent, right?
Yeah, but he's only played against him for 8 minutes.
And there you go.
The thing is though with Pogba, right, is there's 2 ways you can look at this. Are you looking at like when Pogba first joined United for the second time, like you're talking about a midfielder who's just has everything.
Top 3 in the world.
Then gets dumped in a pivot for 5 years, and now you're talking about a midfielder who you can't really.
£100 million midfielder can't play in a pivot.
Tay, I'm not saying
if he doesn't play in a pivot, why is he supposed to play in a pivot? I'm
not saying he's lived up to expectations. I'm just saying in this setup of best midfielders outside the top 2, yes, that does show he's quite down bad, but he definitely makes it in for me.
All I'm saying, right, if you're going to sign a player of his quality, no matter how much money you're putting on him, why wouldn't you play him in his strongest position?
You tell me what is his,
that goes for anyone.
Tell me your strongest position.
As an 8?
A strong position as an 8 in a midfield 3, or just an 8 in general. But when he plays on the left midfield 3 and he can cut in, that's his best position.
We'll put him in.
I do see both sides. Are we happy with Rice, Pogba, Odegaard then?
Yeah.
Tay's not, but
No, I'll let it slide.
we're not missing anyone obvious. Like, I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Mount. I'm definitely taking.
You know what though? With that midfield three idea though, it would probably make more sense to go for like a Rice, someone a bit more like go for Partey instead of
This team doesn't have to work.
No, well, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, because we're talking about if it would win the league at the end. Not win the league, challenge Liverpool City.
Well, if you're picking,
anyway.
If you're picking a midfield that is to beat Liverpool or City, Pogba's not going in it.
Yeah, it's his day off.
No, but I think balance-wise, you'd want to have Pogba as the 8 who's allowed to roam, or you got Rice and Partey.
Rice, Partey, Pogba, I suppose.
Absolutely sustaining.
Well, anyway,
make it happen, Arsenal.
Do you know what? Give me Dewsbury Hall as well, but we'll move on.
No, to be fair,
Dewsbury Hall's a nice player. To be fair,
he's a nice player.
No mention of Tielemans today.
No, absolutely not. Pogba's here. Tielemans is like.
Well, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Anyway, front three. I think 2 pick themselves.
Kane and Son.
Yeah.
I think 3 pick themselves basically.
Kane, Son, and Jared Bowen. End of discussion.
Ooh. I forgot about Bowen. I put Saka.
I've got Saka, but I am open to debate.
I actually forgot about Bowen.
You know what, right? Let me say something as well with that front three balance. I like Bowen, but he's an end product guy. Not that he's not good involvement wise, but if you have Son, you want someone to balance things out on the right hand side. You don't want someone like Bowen who's not the same profile as Son per se, but will have less touches, less involvement, but be that clinical finisher because you've got Son already. You have Saka who could be like that touchline guy. He can have like 4 men around him. He can still get in behind and yeah, just phenomenal. I'm not accepting any answer other than Saka, by the way. So there you go.
Oh, there is.
Sancho definitely have a shout. He's not going in, but you can't say Sancho is not on the level of Saka and Bowen.
It was between Saka and Sancho for me.
He doesn't because we're talking about Sancho off the left-hand side or Son off the left-hand side.
Yeah, no,
we're
of course.
About Sancho off the right. So if we're talking about Sancho off the right, then there's a lot of better players than him, like Kulusevski, for example.
Kulusevski, yeah, as well. I can't not mention him though. He's not some bum. He'll get there.
He's brilliant. He's at United at a bad time. We shouldn't have joined them with what they needed as well. As a bit.
We're mentioning players like Sancho, but we're not mentioning players like Kai Havertz and stuff.
Definitely.
Who's had the more successful tenure, given an extra year? I think Sancho is a good player.
Havertz this time last season, though.
Of course. But again, are we just going to assume?
Yeah, no. Havertz
very inconsistent.
Havertz would go in Kane's position, like right now.
Yeah, that as well. But
but then again, like, is this team going to play together? Or
well, no,
the best
I would.
Yeah, I hear that.
Him as
I do hear that.
Outrageous front three.
I mean, obviously you mentioned Mount is definitely in there. I wouldn't have him, but he's definitely in there. You know, Kulusevski, like you said. Just trying to think of others.
Ronaldo,
obviously, but he doesn't touch Kane right now, unfortunately. Ronaldo would be second choice easily, though.
Josh Sargent as well.
Stop it, man. I don't want to miss anyone.
Timu Pukki?
Come on. We need to move on. Rafinha.
Ivan Toney.
Rafinha, if Jared Bowen can't stick for team, Rafinha can't, in my opinion.
Well, I'm just saying he
can warm the bench for
excellent
he
player.
Can come on in like the 75th minute.
If we have Saka here and Bowen here, I think Rafinha's, he's
a really, really good player.
Owen
is
more
of the Bruno
for me.
He's more of the Bruno mold of player, Rafinha. If you're going that
Rafinha's the on technical ability he's better, but on the pitch.
Spot on.
We were talking off air about this. You won't get it. Anyway, so that's the team we've got. So this is our Premier League side, excluding the top 2. We have got Mendy, Reece James, Thiago Silva, Rudiger, Luke Shaw, Declan Rice, Paul Pogba, Martin Odegaard, Saka, Kane, Son. So now the question is, because we'll go through one by one. If we go by Man City, if you take Man City's 11 and you take that 11, how many players are getting in?
None.
That's not true.
Kane.
Yeah, Kane does.
Kane and Son, yeah.
Kane and Son.
Son probably doesn't break either
Saka
side.
doesn't touch. Saka doesn't touch City's team.
Over Mahrez. It's tough.
Yeah, but wow, if you're
they're very similar profile wise, and they're both like great players. But
Kane starts for both, and I believe that's it.
I'm backing Saka all the way, even if it sounds biased.
But then you're backing Saka over. You're backing Saka over Sterling, Foden, Mahrez.
Yeah.
Fairs, not for me.
Over Foden.
Got to have a
Do
bit.
you know what? I thought that Pogba shot would be the most outrageous thing I've heard. You've topped
Nah,
it.
it's definitely like bias inflicted, but I think Saka's
is it?
like absolutely unbelievable.
Well, anyway, none of the midfield gets in either team, that's for sure.
No.
You could argue James over Walker. You could argue it.
James is a better player, definitely than Walker. Definitely a better player.
But if you said to Pep,
On
you can
footballing ability.
take Reece James to be your starting right back, I reckon he probably does. To be fair,
Yeah, because it's not like, with all due respect, Reece James and Kyle Walker are a lot more similar than they are both to Trent. If we're talking top three sort of players, they're both, minus injuries, they're both outstanding athletes. And I think that's what Pep loves. And Reece James just adds that extra bit of quality going forward, and I think he trumps Walker though, if you ask me.
And I wouldn't touch the centre backs. I wouldn't touch Cancelo. No one over Cancelo. I think Mendy's a better goalkeeper than Ederson, but for Man City, probably not.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's make another point, by the way, about that Saka shout. Just thinking about it logically, with the whole team playing situation. If we've got Son on the left-hand side, we have, with the same logic with the first team, is him or Mahrez, I think, at that stage.
So do you think?
I'll take the PSV.
Thank you. Do you think if those three players, Son, Kane, Saka, were in Man City's squad, do you think that'd be their best front three? That's what we're saying right now. If they have all those options available, yeah.
I feel like maybe Saka. It's tough to maybe
give it up, Philo.
No, I'm thinking of this from like a leveled perspective. I'm not like
they got Jack Grealish on the bench, man. Come on.
Come on.
I didn't even think of Grealish.
You have to think of a level that I understand. You love Saka.
No, isn't that profile wise? It's him or Mahrez.
Yeah, I understand that as well. But
one of those two. If Mahrez, fair enough. But I'm saying it's one of those two profile wise, and Saka's a lot better at beating his man. Like for the way they play as well, like opening the game up.
How often do you see a City winner take on his man though?
I'd probably go Foden.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll put Foden on the right. Like Foden's on the right.
Foden on the right though, like he's a lot better off the left. Not that he can't play off the right, but we're talking about best player in their best position. Mahrez, fair enough, right? I'm probably being quite biased in that sense.
Mahrez, Kane, Son. Question.
Yeah, Mahrez, Kane's unfair.
I respect Saka.
Sterling I love as well.
It's not like I have a Saka agenda. I think Saka gets into every squad in the league. He starts for 18 teams in the league, in my opinion. But
you know what as well?
Look at what a player like Grealish, who's a similar profile, was doing at Villa last season, and he's sitting on Manchester City's bench. Like that's like he doesn't break the City team for me.
You know what I'll say, right? Maybe saying like, okay, a 1 off 11 is probably a bit silly for me to say whatever with Saka, right? But the best thing you can say is he'd be heavily in the first team rotations. That's the best thing I can say with that. Because with City, you could never. Brilliant. For City, you could never pinpoint like an 11, really.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then quickly moving on to Liverpool, I reckon 3 get in. Son, Kane, and a centre back.
No, I'm not taking that.
I'm not taking a centre back.
I'm not taking a
not a left back.
Not Rudiger, Rudiger over Matip, no.
No.
Fairs.
I'm sorry, no.
So you wouldn't take a single centre back from any of the other 18 teams?
Probably not.
Fairs.
There's a reason, like we're as good as we are.
Yeah, no, of course, and that's why we're saying only 3 players.
We play without a right back half the time.
Hey,
so,
do you know what it is though?
Right back half the time. A lot of the times, like players like Matip and stuff get exposed, but you know what I mean. We have 20 clean sheets in the Premier League. And,
could you say somebody over Henderson? Like Rice could probably play.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah.
So I was just thinking Rice.
I'd take 2/3 of that midfield over Henderson.
You know what? As well, it's probably a case of playing in that defence. Liverpool play is so hard. We're playing alongside.
You're so ill.
It will obviously go a long way as well. So I'm sure you could put a lot of the best centre backs outside of Liverpool and City, and they do just as good a job as Matip or similar.
I think that's the thing.
This partnership has been like 4 years in the making, though. Like,
of course.
They've won a Champions League together. Like starting Matip.
That's why it's so hard to see individually.
Joel Matip was against Bayern Munich in back-to-back legs. But Van Dijk was out for the first leg at home. Like he was man of the match. Like he is a world class.
I don't doubt that. But I think I don't want to put him down too much. But he is not one of the standouts in the team. That doesn't mean he's great. obviously like Robertson and Trent are untouchable pretty much. Like obviously same with Salah, same with Fabinho, same with Thiago, same with Alisson, same with Van Dijk.
I think that's what's tough as well, though.
I feel
Like, I
like
just want to say,
I'd
right, I think
have
that's just
I feel like I'd have Mane over Son.
A year ago, maybe.
I
Right
Now,
don't know.
like, even now.
Mane's my favourite.
Mane.
Mane's my top 3 Liverpool favourite player of all time. But like, yeah, great performance against United, but heavy United attack. So
No, but this unbelievable
this,
Mane
this,
right
this
now
20,
is playing
2022 Mane has been insane.
To be fair, he's playing
Is
centre
he?
forward as well, which would mean he'd be competing with.
I think Mane's
Been better than Salah.
Yeah, he has, but
Since
you
when?
can't say since 2022.
2022.
Okay.
Not think.
You know what though? Like,
Yeah.
I think this question, like, it's so hard to say because not only are we like, I don't like player comparisons at all because they're just illogical, I think. But one thing with it is we're not just comparing City and Liverpool's strongest 11s. We're talking about the amazing depth they both now have. We're talking about Luis Diaz. We're talking about Jota. We're talking about Konate. We're talking about, and that's not even touching City. Like, there's so much to consider here.
Yeah, of course, and that does sort of show the debate we just had shows how far those two teams are ahead. I mean, if you made a combined Liverpool and City 11 versus a combined rest of the league 11, it's pretty much curtains. But yeah, I mean, that is about all we've got time for on that. Obviously, last segment of the show is going to be the quiz answers. So Matt has tallied up the scores. So do you want to reveal the scores and then reveal the answers, or?
Right. Hopefully my maths is all right. So DeMille ended with 2 points.
Sorry.
Tay, he got 7.
I've got 2.
I'll make sure, but I'm fairly sure. So
My
yeah.
guy said it's his day off.
And Ethan just about edged it with 8 points.
Oh, we'll take those. Go on.
So
what were the answers then?
So for the Inter AC one, very recent question. You either watched it or you didn't. You saw it, you didn't. It was 3-0 to Inter Milan. Martinez got 2. Gussen's got 1, which I think Tay got completely bang on. So fair play to him. He's got Google open on his laptop, but you respect it.
Got our DMs actually.
And the disallowed goal, which no one got, was Ismail Benacer. Brilliant volley as well, but it was offside, which was unfortunate. So question 2, the answer to it was between PSG and Marseille, who got the 5 red cards. As always as well, let us know how you guys did, tweeting us or whatever on any of our socials. But each player, as you know, is quite surprising for you guys, but all of you said Alvaro, I think. The Spaniard, I remember a bit of a scandal at the time with him and Neymar. I was getting a proper wind-up out of him. That's how the whole fight was instigated, but unfortunately, it wasn't him. It was Paredes, Kazawa, Benedetto, Amarvi, and Neymar. Who you
I got 3 there. I'm quite happy with that.
You did really well there. It's a bit of a random one.
I watched the game. I don't know how
I watched it as well. I watched it.
I only got Neymar though. You know.
I do remember now.
Yeah.
I would never have got Benedetto. I might have got Amarvi. I thought hard enough, but
it's not really...
Amarvi was. I mean, if I could have long-winded the question, what did they get sent off for? But I would have taken it all night. I mean, imagine. Then the next question is the answer is, so Frankfurt were in the semis of Europa last time. What was the last team they got knocked out to when they were at this stage, and in what manner? So it was Chelsea, and it was on penalties, and it was the season, unfortunately, Baku happened. So less said about that.
Did anyone else get that?
I didn't answer it.
I think you said Sevilla.
I got that, yeah.
Oh, you're such a nerd.
I know. I was confident.
And then the next question is, who was the last player to be sent off in an Arsenal versus Man United fixture? I think Ethan and DeMille got this. It was Paul Pogba. Don't think Jacques ever.
He dropped a clinic, by the way. He dropped a clinic.
He actually did play very well that game, and then he got sent off with stamp on Bellerin. I think.
She's not doing the best.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. I don't think Jacques has ever been.
It was unfortunate as well. He was just trying to throw the ball.
Anyway,
that's what they all say. And then the last question, as I said earlier, the fact that Everton, the last time they won at Anfield was 1999. I thought that would be a bit steep. So the last time Everton took any points from Anfield with a crowd was 10th of December 2017. So 5 years back. Pretty crazy stuff, really. Tay got closest with 2018. So yeah, that's
Good
the
question.
question.
Wait.
Ethan wins.
I could have got another point
Why
Did
did
you?
you?
Didn't.
Have I messed up?
because I said, well, I don't know. I didn't really clarify. I said 15-16 season, so that could have been 2016.
It was 2017. Like the year was 2017. That was like.
And it was December, so
That is an whole shame for you, I'm afraid, Jamil.
Yeah, that is. You might
You're
have
on
to
questions as well next week. You might be finished.
No, it's only 2-1-1.
Who was the
Zero.
Armenian player? Who
Taste still on 0.
Yeah, Taylor's still on 0.
Yeah, but I've done the questions for 1 week.
Okay, true.
I'm not letting you squeam your way out of a 2.
You did well today, but you rounded the keeper and missed pretty much. So like, we go again next week. Anyway, that is all we've got time for. Really enjoyed recording that one, so I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it. I feel a lot better after getting all that United stuff off my chest, can't I?
I still got some more to say.
Still Steven. Well, we just wait for the loss to Chelsea and then we'll come
next
back.
week.
Tune in for the Mills Daily, which comes out soon.
Honestly, thank you so much for the support as always. We really do appreciate it, and we will get another one out hopefully later this week, as we were a bit late with this one. But yeah, back to weekly and back to end of the week as always. But yeah, I mean, you can follow us on Twitter at TM4Pod, and then if you want to follow us on any other social medias, you can find them on there. But obviously the main two are Spotify, YouTube. So whatever you're listening on, if you're on Spotify, you can watch with the video, and if you're on YouTube, if you'd rather just listen on Spotify, you can either way. But yeah, thank you so much for the support as always. Let us know how you got on with the quiz. Let us know what you thought about our 11 and if you change anything. And yeah, all interactions are appreciated as always. And thank you so much for the support. Hope you guys stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.